A long silence covered the galaxy. Stars burned bright and old empires ruled in quiet shadows. For thousands of years, no new race had dared to speak too loudly. The alien council believed silence was safety. If no young race shouted into the stars, then no war would begin. They thought peace was made of silence, but Earth was different. While alien worlds whispered carefully, humanity built machines that roared. They sent signals across space. They launched rockets that cracked the sky. Then they made ships that carried thunder in their engines. For the first time in ages, the galaxy heard a sound it feared. Humanity had spoken, and its voice was thunder. On Earth, people only dreamed of the stars. They did not know ancient eyes were already watching. The great alien council sat in secret, their halls carved in a world lit by 3 suns. They looked at the new signals. They listened to human broadcasts. They saw the first great warship. They named it Thunderchild. The council feared this ship was only the beginning, but Earth's people celebrated. They saw Thunderchild as a symbol of courage. It was not the biggest ship, not the strongest ship, but it was human. It carried the pride of a world that had never been silent. Captain Eric Danner walked the decks of Thunderchild. He was young for such command, but his eyes were sharp. His crew followed him with trust. They believed he could lead them through the unknown. The engines hummed like a heart of steel, and every hum carried across the stars. Far away, alien ships drifted in shadow. They were silent, their engines hidden. They watched Thunderchild, waiting for a mistake, waiting for proof that humans must be destroyed. Their orders were clear. Study, then strike if needed. The crew of Thunderchild felt nothing but wonder. They did not know death followed them closely. At night, when the ship passed through dark space, some crew whispered of strange shadows near the hull. Sensors showed nothing, but fear crept quietly among them. Still, Captain Danner told them, "We are not alone, but we are not weak." His words gave them courage. On Earth, leaders argued. Some said silence was safer. Stop building ships, stop sending signals, hide before it is too late. Others said humanity must rise. If they stayed silent, they would remain small forever. The decision was made. Thunderchild would continue her journey. Humanity would not go quiet. In the alien council chambers, voices clashed like blades. One elder said, "Silence has saved us for 10,000 years." Another shouted, "But thunder cannot be silenced, it must be destroyed before it spreads." A third, quieter voice asked, "What if this thunder is strength we could not imagine?" But the council feared more than they hoped. The Thunderchild reached deep space. Her hull gleamed under distant suns. Inside, the crew worked and laughed. They were the first humans so far from Earth. They did not know they were a spark in dry grass and that soon fire would spread. One young officer, nervous but curious, sent a signal into the dark. It was only a test, a wave of sound across the void. He thought nothing of it, but that single burst carried Earth's position. It rang like a bell in the silence. Every alien world heard it. Every watcher marked the place of humanity. The galaxy, which had waited for silence, now had thunder to face. In secret fleets, war drums began to beat. Alien admirals whispered of swift strikes. Some wanted to crush humanity before it grew strong. Others wanted to enslave them. None wanted thunder to echo without control. Thunderchild's crew still had no idea. They dreamed of glory. They painted stars on the walls of their cabins. They wrote songs about home. They believed the galaxy was empty. They believed they were the first to walk these roads of light, but in the shadows beyond their scanners, alien ships gathered, their weapons cold but ready. Their captain spoke only one command: watch and wait. Humanity had revealed itself. The silence was broken. The question was no longer if war would come, but when Captain Danner stood at the window of the bridge, his hand rested on the glass. Stars stretched before him like an endless ocean. He whispered, "We are here now, and we will not be silent." His words were meant for his crew, but in that moment, it felt as if the entire galaxy had heard him. The galaxy shivered. The old council feared what was coming. The alien admirals sharpened their blades, the silent fleets prepared for thunder, and humanity, still innocent, still proud, moved forward. Their engines roared, their songs carried, their hearts burned bright. They had no idea they had already broken the ancient law of silence. They had no idea that war was already waiting. But the galaxy knew. It had waited for silence, and humanity had answered with thunder. The stars were quiet, but the crew of Thunderchild felt a presence. It was not the silence of peace, but the silence of a hunter. Somewhere in the dark, unseen eyes followed them. Every radar sweep showed empty space, yet the feeling of being watched never left. The young crew tried to laugh it away, but when the lights flickered in the lower deck, they whispered of ghosts. Far beyond their reach, a single alien ship glided like a shadow in water. Its hull absorbed starlight, its weapons hidden. It carried no banners, no sound, only death waiting to be released. The alien captain looked at Thunderchild with cold eyes. This was the new race that dared to break the silence. His orders were clear. Observe first, destroy if needed, but he could not ignore the thunder in his chest when he heard the human engines rumble. It was not just noise, it was defiance. On Thunderchild's bridge, Captain Eric Danner studied his crew. He knew they were nervous, he felt it too. Every long jump into the dark weighed on him. The galaxy felt empty but not safe. He placed his hand on the glass and stared into the void. He whispered only to himself, "The stars are watching." Then, it happened. A sharp pulse burst across the communications deck. Ensign Lyra, young and curious, had made a mistake. She was testing the long-range comms, only a quick signal into the void just to see if the system worked. But in space, nothing is private. The signal spread wide like a beacon. It screamed across systems, louder than any whisper before, every ear, every sensor, every alien fleet. Within range, heard the human's position. The shadow ship trembled as the signal struck its hull. The alien captain smiled with sharp teeth. The humans had revealed themselves. He pressed a code into his console. The signal leapt from ship to ship, system to system. Within hours, every council world knew the truth. Earth was loud, and Earth was reckless. On Earth itself, the signal passed unnoticed. People celebrated Thunderchild's mission. They cheered when the news showed the ship moving further than any human craft before. They danced under city lights, unaware of the gathering storm. But in the alien council hall, silence turned to rage. Voices rose like fire. One elder slammed his clawed hand on the table and cried, "They break the silence. They invite destruction." Another hissed, "We must end them before thunder becomes a storm." A smaller voice tried to speak. What if they are not enemies? But it was drowned out by shouts of war. Back on Thunderchild, strange readings began to appear, small flickers on the radar, gone in seconds. The crew leaned forward, hearts racing. Lieutenant Cade whispered, "We are not alone." Captain Danner ordered another sweep. Nothing, only empty black, yet deep inside. He felt the weight of eyes upon them. Night after night, the crew felt it. They woke from dreams of shadows moving through the halls. Ensign Lyra confessed, "I feel like someone is breathing just over my shoulder." The others laughed nervously. But no one slept well. The alien shadow ship grew bold. It crept closer, watching every detail of human design. It saw the heat of the engines, the rhythm of the weapons, the layout of the decks. The alien captain sent every detail back to the council. His claws tapped against the console as he thought, "They are small, but they are dangerous." The council prepared a message, a warning, to Earth. But some alien admirals demanded more. They wanted fire. They wanted silence restored. They gathered fleets in secret, waiting for the order to strike. Thunderchild's crew had no idea. They thought their greatest challenge was distance, not war. They played music in the lower decks, old Earth songs full of drums and voices. Their sound carried even into the metal bones of the ship. The alien captain listened, and for the first time, he felt unease. It was not like the songs of his people. It was louder, prouder, filled with life that refused to bow. One night, Thunderchild's scanners finally caught a faint trace, a ghost signal, a ripple where no star should shine. The crew leaned forward in silence. Captain Danner spoke, his voice heavy. "We are not alone after all." The truth settled into every heart. Fear, yes, but also something stronger. Resolve. The alien captain now faced a choice. He could fire and end this ship, or he could... Wait. He hesitated, and hesitation in war is dangerous. For as he waited, Earth built more ships, Earth sent more signals, Earth grew louder. The galaxy, once filled with silence, now trembled with noise. Alien fleets moved, leaders sharpened. Their claws, human hearts burned brighter than before, and in the endless night 2 ships watched each other. One a shadow of silence, one a spark of thunder. The next move would decide the fate of both. The Council prepared to send its ultimatum, return to silence, or be destroyed. But on Thunderchild's bridge, Captain Danner already knew, "We cannot return to silence," he said. For we were never silent to begin with. The shadow ship drifted closer. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The galaxy waited. Humanity's thunder had been heard, and the first answer was coming. A signal burned across the dark sky. It was not human. It was not kind. It carried a voice that shook every screen on Thunderchild. It carried words in every human language at once. The crew froze as the message echoed. "Return to silence or be destroyed." No one spoke. The air in the control room turned heavy. Captain Arik Danner felt his throat tighten. His crew looked at him with wide eyes, waiting for his answer. But the captain had no answer. Not yet. The message did not stop. It repeated again and again, cold and sharp. The alien voice was filled with contempt. "You are a young race. You do not understand the cost of thunder. End your engines, hide your signals. Return to silence or your world will burn." On Earth, leaders gathered in panic. Screens in every capital displayed the same ultimatum. The alien message thundered in languages no human had ever spoken before. But somehow every man, woman, and child understood. Crowds filled the streets. Some cried out in fear, some shouted in anger, a few even celebrated. "We are not alone," they said. "We have been noticed." But most trembled. The United Council of Earth met in secret. Some leaders demanded obedience. "We must survive. We must do what they ask. We are not ready for war." Others shouted back, "If we bow now, we will never rise. We will always be weak." The debate roared through the night. On Thunderchild, the crew argued as well. Young officers whispered in dark corners. Some wanted to obey, fearing the destruction of Earth. Others clenched their fists. Let them come. Let them try. One engineer said, "We have fought worse on our own world. We will fight again." Captain Danner stood silent. His mind carried the weight of every choice. He stared at the stars beyond the glass. He wondered how many fleets already moved against them. He wondered if humanity had already been marked for death. In the alien council chamber, fire filled the voices of the elders. One slammed a claw into the table. "They have ignored silence. They are proud. They must be destroyed now before they grow." Another hissed, "They are children. Do not waste fleets on them. One strike will be enough." But one voice, softer and alone, whispered, "They are loud, yes, but their thunder carries courage. Perhaps they could become more." His words were ignored. Across human colonies, the ultimatum spread like poison. Miners on the outer moons heard it. Farmers on Mars heard it. Children on Earth's cities heard it. All asked the same question. "Will we fight or will we kneel?" Thunderchild received a second message. This time it was personal. "Ship of Thunder, return to your nest. Shut down your voice. If you continue, you will not only bring ruin to yourself, but to all your kind." The alien words burned like fire in the crew's ears. Lieutenant Cade slammed his fist against the console. "They threaten us as if we are insects. We cannot obey, Captain. If we return now, we are already dead." Ensign Lyra trembled. "But if we fight, we doom Earth." Her voice cracked with fear. "We are one ship, they are many." Captain Danner raised his hand for silence. His eyes were dark but steady. "We were warned. Yes, but we were also noticed. That means they fear us. No one threatens what they do not fear. His words struck the crew like lightning. Fear did not vanish, but pride grew beside it. The alien shadow ship still followed close, waiting for orders. Its captain smiled as he replayed the ultimatum. He expected humans to surrender, but part of him feared they would not, for he had seen their eyes. He had heard their music. He had felt their defiance. Back on Earth, the Council reached no peace. Nations split. Some armed their fleets in secret. Some tore down their shipyards in panic. The world was divided. The galaxy had spoken with one voice, but humanity had no single answer. In the silence of his quarters, Captain Danner wrote a message for Earth. He did not ask for surrender. He did not ask for mercy. He asked for choice. Do not let others decide. Our fate, if we are to live or die, let it be by our own hands. His words spread among the crew. They whispered them like a vow. Thunderchild turned slowly in the dark. Engines pulsed like a drumbeat. The alien shadow ship followed closer. Its captain prepared his weapons. One spark could ignite war. One mistake could bring the storm. On the alien capital, fleets prepared. For launch, dozens of warships gathered under banners of silence. Their admirals swore to burn thunder from the galaxy. They sharpened their blades and charged their cannons. Humanity did not yet know how many eyes burned against them. They only knew the threat had been spoken. The galaxy demanded their silence. But silence was never the human way. As Thunderchild drifted onward, Captain Danner looked out at the stars and whispered, "They threaten us with fire, but they forget. Fire is where we were born." The galaxy shivered. The ultimatum had been sent. The choice had been made. Humanity could not turn back. The thunder had only just begun. The stars were quiet, but not for long. A red light flared across Thunderchild's bridge. Sensors screamed. The crew froze as the void ahead rippled. A shape appeared, huge and sharp, sliding out of darkness like a blade from a sheath. It was no shadow now. It was a hunter. The first alien warship had arrived, its hull black as night, its edges glowing faint with cold fire. The ship gave no signal, no words, only silence. Then a beam of red locked across Thunderchild's hull, a hunter's mark. For the first time, humanity was staring down the guns of the galaxy. Captain Arik Danner's voice cut through the tension. "Shields up, full power." His crew obeyed with trembling hands. Engines roared. Lights flickered blue across the ship's spine. Every man and woman aboard knew what this meant. Silence was over. The first shot of war was coming. The alien captain studied the humans with calm contempt. His orders were clear. If they refused the ultimatum, they must be destroyed. His claws tapped against the console. He whispered to himself, "One spark, and thunder dies." His finger hovered over the command to fire. Inside Thunderchild, "Hearts pounded," Ensign Lyra whispered. "They will kill us." Her voice cracked like glass. Lieutenant Cade slammed his hand on the console. "Then let them try." Captain Danner's gaze never left the alien ship. His voice was steady. "Hold. Fire. They want us to break. They want us to reveal fear." The red targeting beams grew brighter. Every second felt like a knife twisting deeper. Silence pressed heavy. Then the alien ship's cannons glowed. Engines flared. The first blast tore across the void. A spear of energy struck Thunderchild's shields. The ship shook as if the stars themselves had struck it. Sparks rained across the bridge. Crew shouted. Some were thrown from their stations, but the shields held. "Barely. Return fire." Danner roared. The thunder answered. Cannons lit the dark. Streams of fire shot outward. The human weapons roared louder than the silence of the galaxy. The alien ship staggered, its hull scarred with burning light. The Council had expected weakness, but they saw defiance. The battle raged. Thunderchild twisted and turned like prey refusing to fall. Alien beams cut across her hull, but human guns struck back again and again. Every time Thunderchild should have broken, it rose again, down in. Engineering, the crew fought as hard as the gunners. Sparks lit the dark. Metal groaned. One engineer screamed above the noise. "If we push the engines more, they'll tear apart," his partner shouted back. "If we don't, we're already dead." The engines thundered louder, shaking the silence. The alien captain's calm cracked, his eyes narrowed. "They should be ash," he hissed. "Why do they resist?" He ordered another barrage. His ship spat fire like a storm. Thunderchild staggered, plates ripped from the hull. Warnings screamed across every deck. Crew bled. Some cried, but still they fought. Captain Danner stood unshaken. "We will not die silent," he said. "We are thunder. Remember it." His words spread through the ship like fire in dry grass. A clever move saved them. Danner ordered the ship into the shadow of an asteroid. Alien weapons fired wide. For a moment, Thunderchild vanished into the stone's cover. Then it struck. Back. A surprise shot cracked against the alien ship's side, tearing metal open. The alien captain gripped his chair as his vessel shook. His crew stared at him with fear. Never had prey fought like this. Never had thunder answered silence with such fury. He felt something strange in his chest. Doubt. Back on Earth, the battle streamed in fragments, broken signals bleeding across space. People watched with wide eyes. They saw glimpses of fire in the void. They heard the roar of their ship. They cried. They prayed. They shouted for the first time. Earth knew they were at war. Thunderchild's shields were almost gone. Engines burned near collapse. The crew fought on. The alien ship circled like a wolf around a wounded bear. Yet the bear roared, refusing to fall. At last, a final exchange tore across the black. Thunderchild fired with all power left. The alien ship's hull cracked and burned, its weapons faltered, alarms shrieked across its decks. The alien captain's claws dug into his seat. He spat, in rage. "This is not the end, this is only the beginning." Then his ship leapt into warp, vanishing into the dark. Silence returned, but it was not the silence of safety. It was the silence after thunder. The crew of Thunderchild sat in the smoking bridge. Bruised, bleeding, but alive, Lieutenant Cade grinned through blood. "We survived," he whispered. Ensign Lyra wept. Captain Danner only stared into the stars. His voice was low but unshaken. "The galaxy knows now. We will not kneel." Far away, alien admirals screamed in fury. Their first destroyer had failed. Humanity had stood against silence. They sharpened their fleets. They prepared a storm. The council swore thunder must be crushed, but on Earth pride grew. Songs rose. Warships began to rise in the shipyards. The people no longer dreamed of silence. They dreamed of thunder. The first clash had ended. Humanity had survived. But survival was not victory. The galaxy was moving, armies were gathering. Silence was sharpening its knives. Thunderchild drifted onward, scarred but unbroken. The war had begun. Smoke still lingered in Thunderchild's halls. Scars cut across her hull. Every plate and beam told the story of the first clash. The crew walked her decks with bandages and bruises, yet their eyes burned with something brighter than pain. They had survived the first storm, and survival meant hope. On Earth, the news spread like fire. Families watched broken signals from Thunderchild's battle. They saw images of alien fire slamming into human steel. They heard the roar of their own cannons answering across the void. Crowds filled the streets. Some cried, some trembled, but many shouted in pride. Humanity had stood, humanity had answered. Humanity was thunder. Factories woke with fury. Shipyards roared day and night. The old silence of Earth's skies was broken by engines. Sparks fell like rain as new ships rose from steel skeletons. The names carried power. Iron Thunder, Skybreaker, Dawnfire. War songs echoed in workshops. For every scar Thunderchild carried, Earth built 10 new blades. The Alien Council saw this with horror. Their fleets had always been enough to terrify young races into silence, but humanity did not bend. Instead, the humans built faster, louder, prouder. The council chambers filled with shouting. Some demanded full war. End them now, burn their world before thunder spreads. Others hesitated. Every battle they survive makes them stronger. A few whispered what none dared admit. Perhaps thunder cannot be silenced. Captain Arik Danner stood on Thunderchild's bridge, his ship patched but never whole. He watched signals from Earth's shipyards with quiet pride. "They have found their fire," he said. His crew smiled through their exhaustion. They knew they were no longer alone, but shadows grew in the galaxy. Fleets moved in secret, spies whispered across the stars. Old empires feared not just the humans but what the humans inspired. For other races watched too. Races once beaten into silence lifted their heads. They saw Earth stand and they whispered, "If they can fight, why not us?" On a frozen moon far from Earth, a small alien rebel group made contact. They were weak, hunted, forgotten, yet they reached for thunder. Their leader, a scarred figure with silver eyes, sent a message to Captain Danner. "We watched your battle, we heard your roar, join with us and we will fight beside you. The Council has crushed us for centuries, but thunder gave us courage." Danner read the message in silence. His officers argued. Lieutenant Cade slammed, his hand against the console. "Allies, Captain, we cannot fight the galaxy alone, take their hand." Ensign Lyra shook her head. "We do not know them. What if they betray us? We are one ship, one world. We cannot risk trickery." Danner's eyes were steady. "Every ally is a risk, but every ally is a spark, and sparks build storms." He sent back a single word, "Yes." Thunderchild met the rebel ship in the shadow of a dead star. The alien vessel was old, patched, barely alive. Yet when its airlocks opened, the two crews looked at each other with the same fire. They were different in shape, voice, and skin. But they shared one thing. They had both refused silence. The rebel leader bowed his scarred head. "Your thunder woke us," he said. "The galaxy fears you, but to us your roar is freedom." Danner only nodded. "Then let us roar together." Meanwhile, the Alien Council prepared darker plans. Not all agreed to direct war. Some chose whispers instead. One elder said, "If thunder cannot be silenced with fire, then let us poison it with betrayal." Secret agents were sent. Promises were whispered to weak races. Bribes were offered to turn allies against humanity. The Council would not face thunder honestly. They would break it with shadows. Back on Earth, the shipyards reached fever pace. Iron Thunder was christened. With cheers, her engines boomed so loud that even the stars seemed to tremble. Captains trained in simulators. Soldiers drilled under the glow of artificial suns. Humanity had never been so united. The ultimatum of silence had done what nothing else could. It had made them one. Yet whispers of fear still lived. Families watched the sky and wondered if fleets of fire already sped toward Earth. Children asked if their homes would burn. Leaders hid their doubts behind speeches of courage. But even in fear, they built. They built because silence was no longer possible. In the far dark, Thunderchild and her new allies trained together. Maneuvers through asteroid belts, weapon drills in orbit of dead moons. Human songs filled the rebel ship. Alien drums answered. Back, cultures mixed, voices rose, and the storm grew louder. The alien shadow ship that had once followed Thunderchild now carried new orders. Its captain was commanded not to fight, but to watch, to wait, to send whispers of weakness back to the Council. Yet as he listened to human songs, as he saw human ships multiply, something in his heart cracked. He felt the silence he had served. His whole life began to rot. The galaxy trembled, every race could feel it. Silence was slipping, thunder was rising. Fleets moved like dark clouds. Shipyards burned with fire. Allies gathered in secret corners. The storm was coming, on Thunderchild's bridge. Captain Danner looked at the stars, his crew at his side, his allies waiting, his world awakening. He spoke quietly, but his words carried like a drum. They demanded silence. We gave them thunder, and soon we will give them the storm. The galaxy waited, afraid, divided. Some sharpened their blades, some hid in fear, some whispered with hope, and in the black between stars, the sound of thunder only grew louder. Dark space held its breath. Thunderchild and her allies moved together. Through the void, engines whispered, weapons slept, yet something felt wrong. The crew sensed it in their bones. A silence heavier than the stars pressed around them. It was the kind of silence before a knife is drawn. Captain Arik Danner stood on the bridge. his eyes sharp, his crew tired but loyal. Around him, humans and alien allies worked side by side. Together they had become more than survivors. They had become a storm. But storms can be broken from within. The first sign came as a flicker. A rebel ship in formation shifted position. Its lights dimmed, then glowed red. At first the crew thought it was a fault. But then came the second sign. Weapons warming, targeting systems turning. And the third sign, fire. A lance of energy burst from the Allies' cannons. It ripped across Thunderchild's shields, throwing crew to the floor. Consoles sparked. Alarms screamed. Lieutenant Cade roared in rage. Betrayal! Ensign Lyra's voice cracked with fear. They've turned on us. The rebel leader who had once bowed his scarred head now stood on his bridge with cold eyes. His voice carried through the comms, twisted and sharp. Forgive me, Captain, but thunder cannot protect us. Silence offers survival. The Council promised mercy if we delivered you. His words cut deeper than the fire itself. Danner's jaw tightened, his voice steady despite the chaos. And did they promise mercy for your people or only power for you? The rebel's eyes flickered with shame for a moment, but then he silenced the channel. His cannon spoke for him. The fleet broke apart in fire. Ships that had trained together now turned on each other. Human guns roared against traitor guns. The black sky became a battlefield. Thunderchild twisted through the storm. Her engines screamed. Shields shattered under each strike. But still she fought. Her cannons spat thunder back into the dark. Crew moved like fire through the decks. Some dragged the wounded, some fought the flames, all refused to surrender. In the engine room, sparks lit the faces of engineers. We can't take much more, one shouted. Push her harder. Another cried, better broken than dead. The engines burned brighter, shaking the silence with their roar. The traitor ships pressed hard. They struck at weak points. They knew human tactics. They had trained beside them. Now they used that knowledge like a dagger to the heart, but betrayal did not break Thunderchild, it hardened her. Captain Danner stood firm, his voice a hammer on the bridge. They think thunder bends, show them thunder does not bend, show them thunder breaks mountains. His crew answered with fire. One traitor ship closed in, ready to finish them. Thunderchild turned sharply. A risky maneuver. Metal groaned. Hull. Plate screamed, but her cannons fired point blank. The traitor ship burst apart in flame, pieces of betrayal scattered across the stars. Still, the damage was great. Hull cracked, decks burned, dozens lost. The crew fought on with bloody hands. Lieutenant Cade bared his teeth. They will not have us, not while we can still breathe. In the council chambers far away, alien elders watched the betrayal unfold. They nodded with cold satisfaction. See how thunder eats itself. They are children, they cannot hold together. But one younger voice whispered, or perhaps betrayal will only teach them strength. The elders ignored it. Their eyes were blind with hate. Among the rebel fleet, not all agreed with the betrayal. Some captains hesitated. Some lowered their weapons. They had joined thunder for freedom, not for chains. They watched the council's puppets fire on humans, and their hearts burned. A few turned their cannons. Back, defiance within betrayal. A spark within the storm, the battle raged for hours. Thunderchild limped, scarred but alive. At last the traitor leader's ship was crippled. Engines failing, weapons dark. Danner opened comms one final time. His voice low but heavy. You traded thunder for silence, and now you will have neither. With one final strike, the ship burned out in silence. The battlefield drifted quiet. Only wreckage and fire remained. Thunderchild floated among it, bleeding sparks into the void. Inside, the crew walked through smoke and shadow, their eyes hollow but unbroken. Ensign Lyra whispered, "Why would they betray us?" Danner's gaze was cold as stone. Because silence promised safety, and thunder promised risk. But safety built on chains is not life. We will not choose silence. The surviving rebel ships, ashamed of the betrayal, sent signals of loyalty. Some begged forgiveness, some offered blood to prove it. Captain Danner looked at them with hard eyes. Trust must be earned again, thunder does not forget. Yet he did not send them away, for he knew the storm needed every spark. On Earth, the news of betrayal shook the people. Some wept in despair. Even our allies cannot be trusted, they said. But others clenched their fists. Then we will fight alone if we must, they shouted. The shipyards did not slow, engines roared louder. For every betrayal, more ships were born. Thunderchild drifted onward, scarred from fire and treachery. Her crew carried the weight of loss, but also the weight of pride. They had survived betrayal. They had endured the knife in the dark, and still their thunder roared. Captain Danner stood at the window of the bridge. Stars burned before him. His voice was quiet but certain. They will break us with fire. They will break us with lies, but we are thunder. We will rise again. We will rise louder. The galaxy listened. The council sharpened its knives. Allies whispered in fear. Enemies gathered fleets, and far across. The stars, the storm only grew. The galaxy no longer slept. The council had tried silence. It had tried fear. It had even tried betrayal. But thunder still roared. Humanity had survived every strike. And now it was their turn to answer. Across Earth's skies, new warships rose like mountains of steel. Engines shook the air. Shipyards thundered night and day. Each ship carried names meant to echo across the stars. Iron Thunder, Dawnfire, Skybreaker, Stormlance. The people watched them rise with clenched fists and proud eyes. The children whispered the names like prayers. Captain Arik Danner stood once again on the bridge of Thunderchild, his ship scarred but rebuilt. Patched with steel and fire, beside her floated Iron Thunder, larger and brighter, the first of Earth's new fleet. Around them waited dozens more. Humanity's storm was ready. The order came not from fear, but from fury. No longer would they wait for the council to strike. This time, humanity would carry thunder into enemy skies. For every scar, for every threat, for every betrayal, they would answer with fire. Their first target was a council outpost, a fortress on the edge of alien space. For centuries it had watched the stars in silence. Now it would hear thunder. As the fleet prepared, the crew of Thunderchild felt a strange mix of fear and pride. Ensign Lyra whispered, "We are not defending anymore, we are the storm now." Lieutenant Cade grinned with sharp teeth. "Then let the galaxy tremble." When the fleet jumped into alien space, the stars themselves seemed to shake. The outpost blinked in alarm. Its garrison ships rushed to meet the humans, weapons hot. The council commanders laughed at first. "Children," they said, "they think themselves warriors." But the laughter died when thunder struck. Human cannons roared in unison. A wave of fire crashed into the defenders. The alien ship staggered under the unexpected fury. Iron Thunder's main gun split one vessel clean in two. Thunderchild darted through the chaos like a wolf among lions, her smaller guns biting hard. The outpost shook as human torpedoes tore into its shields. Explosions lit the void. The defenders screamed for reinforcements, but none came fast enough. Humanity had struck first. Humanity had struck hard. For the first time in Council history, silence lost. Thunder stood victorious. The message spread like fire. News of the human assault raced across systems. Worlds once loyal to the Council trembled. Some whispered in fear, "The thunder is coming." Others whispered in hope, "The thunder is coming." In hidden corners of the galaxy, rebels and slaves lifted their heads. They saw fire in the sky and knew the silence was broken. They sent secret signals to Earth. "We are ready, we will rise, lead us." The Council raged in fury. Fleets launched from dozens of worlds. Admirals swore oaths of destruction. Hunt them down, burn their ships. Silence must be restored. But the Council itself began to fracture. Not all agreed. Some feared thunder could not be stopped. Some even whispered of joining it. Thunderchild's crew felt the weight of history with every battle. They struck across 5-star systems. Each victory fueled the next. Each defeat hardened their will. They were no longer explorers. They were no longer prey. They were the storm. One night, after a battle near a burning gas giant, the crew gathered in the mess hall. The walls shook from damage, the lights flickered, yet their voices rose together. They sang songs of Earth. They pounded fists on tables like war drums. Even the alien allies among them joined. The storm was No longer only human, it was becoming something greater. But war always costs. For every victory, ships were lost. Names vanished into silence. Families on Earth wept as new lists of the fallen appeared. Yet even in grief they built. They built more ships. They built more thunder. On the alien capital, the council elders grew desperate. They ordered the creation of a massive fleet, larger than any seen in 10,000 years. A storm to crush. The storm. But whispers spread even there. Servants and soldiers whispered of human thunder, and some felt pride instead of fear. Captain Danner stood in his quarters, staring at a map of stars. Red marks for enemies, blue marks for allies, yellow. For the uncertain, the galaxy was no longer united, it was cracking. Thunder was the hammer. His voice was steady. We are not fighting for Earth alone. We are fighting for every voice that silence tried to kill. Lieutenant Cade entered, blood still on his bandages from the last battle. Captain, when the Council comes with their great fleet, can we truly stand? Danner did not look away from the stars. His voice was calm. We will not stand, Cade. We will roar, and roaring is enough. The galaxy listened, some with fear, some with awe. Humanity had spread thunder across the stars. The storm had begun, and the silence of 10,000 years was cracking apart. The next battle would not be a raid. It would not be a strike. It would be war on a scale the galaxy had not seen in ages. The thunder was loose, and it was rolling toward the heart of silence. The alien capital burned beneath 3 suns. The city of the Council, untouched for 10,000 years, now trembled as fleets gathered above its skies. Towers of crystal shook as alarms wailed. The galaxy's masters had believed themselves eternal, but thunder was at their gates. Humanity's fleet cut across the void like a blade of fire. Dozens of warships, scarred and battered, yet proud. Engines roared louder than the Council's prayers. Their guns glowed hot. Each hull carried names carved in hope and anger. Each crew carried the weight of the fallen. At the center of it all drifted Thunderchild, rebuilt again and again, scarred, but unbroken. Beside her loomed Iron Thunder, and beyond a storm of ships, Earth's answer to silence. Inside the council chamber, panic filled the air. Elders shouted over each other. Some demanded surrender. We cannot win, their thunder breaks us apart. Others cried for blood. Burn them. Burn their world. End this storm. But their unity was gone. Cracks split the silence they had worshipped, and those cracks would soon shatter. On Thunderchild's bridge, Captain Arik Danner stared at the enemy world. His crew stood behind him, bruised, tired, but fierce. Ensign Lyra whispered, "This is their heart, Captain. If we strike, here it ends," Lieutenant Cade growled. "Then let it end in fire." Danner's voice was steady. "We are Thunder, and today Thunder speaks for all who were silenced." The alien fleet rose from the capital like a wall of black steel. Thousands of ships, vast and ancient, weapons glowing red. Their admiral shouted across the void, "You should have stayed, silent. You should have obeyed." Their voices shook with fury and fear. The order came, not in words but in fire. The alien armada launched first. A wave of energy storms streaked across the void, the sky lit with destruction. For a moment, it seemed nothing could survive. Then humanity answered. A roar of guns, torpedoes, and beams of white light. The void became thunder itself. The two storms collided, ships burst into flame, debris scattered like stars dying. Thunderchild twisted through the chaos. Her cannons spat fire. Her shield screamed under the storm. A blast tore across her hull. Men and women cried out, but still she fought. Lieutenant Cade shouted above the roar. "They want silence. Give them thunder." Iron Thunder charged headlong into the center of the enemy line. Her guns ripped apart 3 ships in a single volley. Her crew cheered even as fire tore through their decks. The storm had no fear, only defiance. Rebel allies fought beside them. Drums of alien warriors mixed with human songs. Together they struck against the Council. Together they proved silence could not last. Every blast, every scream, every strike was a nail in the coffin of the old order. On the council's surface, the people trembled. They looked to their masters for safety, but the masters hid. The people heard the roar above the skies and whispered, "Perhaps the thunder is not our enemy. Perhaps it is freedom." Inside Thunderchild, the battle raged close. An enemy cruiser locked its weapons on them. Its cannons glowed with the heat of death. Captain Danner's voice cut sharp. All power to forward guns. The ship roared. A single strike tore through the cruiser's heart. It exploded in a storm of fire. Pieces rained into the capital. Skies, but victory was not free. Iron Thunder burned, her decks split, her captain's last words carried across the fleet. "Roar for us, roar until the silence breaks." Then she was gone. The crew of Thunderchild felt the loss like a blade to the chest, but their fire only grew. The alien armada faltered. Ships broke formation. Some turned away. Fear spread faster than orders. They had never faced prey who roared, prey who refused to kneel. The final push came. Thunderchild led the charge. Her engines screamed like war drums. Her guns spat until barrels glowed white. The fleet pierced the enemy line and the council's fleets shattered. On the capital below, the council chamber cracked with fire. Elders screamed. Their empire of silence was gone. Captain Danner's voice carried across every channel, across every world. "You waited for silence, but silence has ended. The galaxy belongs to thunder." Now to every voice that was once crushed, to every world that was once broken, speak, rise, live. The silence is over. The words echoed louder than any weapon. On slave worlds, chains were broken. On rebel ships, songs rose. On hidden colonies, children shouted in pride. The galaxy roared, the battle ended. Wreckage floated. Like dark stars, the alien capital burned. Thunderchild drifted among the ashes, scarred but alive. Her crew stood in silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of awe. They had ended an age. Ensign Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Is it truly over?" Captain Danner's voice was low but steady. "No, it is never over. Thunder never ends. It only rolls on." Lieutenant Cade smiled through blood. "Then let it roll forever." The galaxy, once waiting for silence, now trembled with thunder. It was not only the sound of guns but of voices of freedom, of defiance humanity had answered, and the answer would echo forever. The stars would never be silent again.